The streets always look different after midnight, sharp-edged, stripped of their daytime chatter. That's why I like driving nights, less traffic. Just the hum of my Prius and the occasional flicker of porch lights surrendering to dawn. At a red light on Virgil, I caught the flicker of a shop awning in my rear view. Just the wind, I told myself. Except there was no wind. The air sat thick, like wet cloth. The ride request pinged, 10 minutes away, Laurel Canyon. An address wedged between those narrow hillside roads. The app showed a silhouette for the profile. No name, no photo. They were waiting under a street lamp, backlit, face blurred by the orange haze. Slid into the backseat smelling like copper and wet earth. Directions came as gestures, left here, right there, in a voice that scraped, like stones in a dryer. The hills swallowed the road. No cicadas, no coyotes yipping. Even the engine seemed muted. My headlights carved tunnels through the black, catching glints in the trees, dozens of them, low to the ground, shining. Watching. They leaned forward then, breath fogging the glass between us. "Don't you hear it?" And I did. Beneath the silence, beneath my own hammering heart, a low, wet sound, clicking. Like knuckles on bone, the air in the car curdled. My hands welded to the wheel, knuckles white as the clicking swelled, mindless, rhythmic. The kind of sound something makes when it doesn't care if you hear it. The passenger's reflection hovered in the rearview, smudged and flickering, their fingertips tracing the fogged partition. Where they touched, the glass stayed clouded. Streaked. The wheels sank into silt as fine as ash. Moonlight bled through the pines, revealing a clearing ahead, shapes humped in the shadows. Stones? Stumps? Static pricked the air. They slipped out, the door left ajar, hinges whimpering. Cold rushed in, carrying a sweetness rotten fruit maybe, or meat left in the sun. The shapes weren't stones. Too regular. Too arranged. Wheelbarrows, shovels, piled dirt. The clicking sharpened, beetles' wings, snapping branches, the wet clatter of something dragging. The passenger stood at the tree line, head tilted. My phone buzzed. "Trip completed, before the screen died." In the black dome light, I watched my own breath bloom. But theirs didn't. The engine had died with the phone. I pressed the ignition, nothing. Only the click-click-clicking seam ripping through the dark. My breath still fogged, frantic clouds. Their mouth was open now, a wet hollow with no steam. Something shifted in the dirt mounds, not shovel-dug. Too precise those scoops, like hands had clawed upward, beetles seized underfoot, glinting greenish where moonlight caught their shells. The passenger raised an arm. Not a wave, a beckon. Toward the trees. The hood release stuck. When it gave, the latch left a red smear on my palm, too dark to see if it was rust or... A sigh brushed my neck. Not breath, the absence of it vacuum slick. I spun. Empty. The passengers still stood by the pines facing away, but their sleeves billowed though the air was corpse still. The engine was missing, not broken. Gone. Just a cavity snarled with wires, roots spidering through metal. My throat sealed. I touched a dangling cable cold, always cold. The shadows between trees weren't shadows. Too dense, too deliberate. Bent at the waist. Watching. The passenger faced me. Their mouth moved. All the birds stopped singing at once. The passenger's lips kept parting. A puppet's mimicry of speech. Soundless. No, not soundless. My teeth hummed with syllables I couldn't hear. Behind them, the bent shadows leaned closer. Not shadows. Not anymore. Their edges glinted. Beetle shell sharp. My fingers gripped the engine cavity. The root wires coiled tighter, thorned and thrumming. Cold crept past my wrists, up my arms like IV drip frost. I tried stepping back. My shoe stuck. Beetles clotted the laces, mandibles working, not biting. Sewing. The passenger tilted their head. Moonlight slid off their face, revealing no eyes. Just puckered skin, smooth as scar tissue. Their beckoning hands still hung mid-air, fingers too long, joints too many. Shadows pooled at the tree line, dense as oil. They rippled, began to pour. The passenger smiled. Not a mouth. Ah! Ah! Split. The cavity widened, wet strands stretching, and from inside, a flutter. Wings, not beetles. Moths, pale and papery, spilling over their gums. The cold reached my collarbones. My heart thudded, sluggish, as if pumping syrup. Shadows lapped at my ankles. Heavy. Hungry. The moths swarmed my head. I didn't blink. Couldn't. They settled on my lashes, my lips, their tiny legs pricking like sutures. The passenger lowered their arm. The first shadow closed its jaws around my left foot. The jaw's pressure registered as absence, no pain, just my foot dissolving into the dark, devoured by a numbness textured like static. The moth stitched my eyelids open. I felt each filament snap as I strained to blink. Above, the passenger's throat unfolded, a grotesque origami of cartilage, releasing more moths. They streamed into my nostrils, my ears. Not insects. Egg sacs. I tasted rust as they burst. My right hand twitched. Still mine. The left hung limp, frostbite gray, fingers crooked like broken antennae. The cold climbed my throat. My tongue thickened, words rotting into guttural clicks. The passenger knelt now, face inches from mine. Their breath smelled of wet soil and iron, the stench of turned graves. Their fingers brushed my cheek. Not fingers. Proboscises. Needle-tipped. They tapped, testing, then sank into the hinge of my jaw. I tried to scream. My vocal cords vibrated, useless. A fly's buzz trapped in resin. The root wires in the engine cavity snaked higher, piercing my sternum. Memories unraveled. Childhood birthdays, my mother's voice, the smell of gasoline. Each recollection snipped free and devoured by skittering darkness. The passenger exhaled. My lungs filled with moth scales. Shapes moved inside the trees, now slender, jointed things, swaying in time to my slowing heartbeat. A final whisper. Almost home. The cold reached my eyes. The world fractured into prismatic echoes. I saw my body below, stiff and glittering, mouth sewn shut with silk. Beetles poured from my sleeves, carrying my wedding ring into the soil. Then bodilessness. Awareness adrift, pulled toward the tree line, toward the waiting chorus of wings.